right, back here with Captain Marty. We're going to hear another one of his great stories from out in the ocean doing some fishing. And, you know, Cap, I was thinking about it, and I know we have a lot of storms, a lot of nor'easters that blow up. We've been in the middle of one right now as we're recording this podcast, and, hurricanes and things like that. Now, have you ever been out in the ocean offshore when a storm is brewed up? Has you ever been tossed around like that, like the SS Minnow from Gilligan's Island type stuff?
Well, a lot of people will tell you about the storm I got caught in 1991, myself and Mike Clarkin on the Fishing Frenzy, and it was a bad situation that ended up okay. But I'll be back to tell you exactly how it played out in just a moment.
Surrounded by water, Currituck and the people of the Outer Banks have been shaped and defined by its rich and coastal maritime history. The Currituck Maritime Museum tells the story of Currituck's boat-building forefathers, their remarkable craft, and the legacy they left behind on how to live life and thrive on the waters of the Outer Banks. Discover the Maritime Museum in historic Corolla Park, across the street from the Currituck Beach Lighthouse, and visit us online at CurrituckMaritimeMuseum.com. Be a part of the local history at the Currituck Maritime Museum.
Hey y'all, Captain Marty here. And when I was looking for a top quality mower, I went to the best. And the best is A&W Sales in Pinetown. Now at A&W Sales, they carry top quality brands like the Bad Boy zero-turn mowers, of which I own one now for 15 years. American-made, heavy-duty machines built to handle anything from backyard touch-ups to commercial jobs. They've proudly sold and serviced Bad Boy mowers for over 15 years. How about if you're in need of a trailer? A&W Sales carries the full line of Big Tex trailers, the best-selling trailer brand in the entire nation. Visit them in-store or online at awsalesnc.com, where tough equipment meets trusted service. One August day in 1991, I was running a boat called the Reelin, and it was a fortress of a boat. It was one of the rare all fiberglass boats. I had it built in Panama City, Florida. And on this particular day, you know how it is every morning before daylight, the boats load up at Oregon Inlet. They're heading out, and it's a race to the Gulf Stream. It's a race to the tide line, and you want to get out there as soon as you can. Well, what happened was we were late. Our charters were late, and it wasn't just me. It was myself, and also right next to me was the Fishing Frenzy at that time, run by Captain Mike Clarkin. And we were, kicking the dirt, like, where is the charter? Why are we late? We're going to be, because you get you behind and you stay behind the whole day. And like Omi said, picking up the crumbs that were left from all the other 40 boats that are out there fishing. Well, finally, we were late. We were 45 minutes behind everybody else. And finally our charters came, and Mike and I said, you know what? We're going to go due east. We're going to take the short ride. The rest of the fleet that morning had gone out the inlet at Oregon Inlet and turned south and was going to go down and fish off Hatteras. Okay. You would say off Buxton. And Anthony and Avon, down that way. Mm-hmm. So they all went on down the beach. We went for the shorter run. Everybody was talking on the radio, and we got a call on the VHF radio from John Coleman at Hatteras Harbor Marina. John was the dock master and down at Hatteras Harbor, and he called us up there and said, boys, he said, a set of line squalls is coming through Hatteras right now that you don't want any part of. He said, it's blowing 70 or 80 miles an hour, lightning everywhere, hail.
Holy smokes.
And so I looked down there, and I could see that black line of squalls way 50 miles below me. The sky was getting dark. Remember, the whole early part of the fleet was headed that direction.
Right.
So I thought, well, they'll have to poke through it, and I'll listen and see what I can figure out from what they find once they get. There is nowhere to hide, so you're gonna have to get your way through it. Well, the first group of boats went through that squall, and they all complained. They're all like, wow, that was a lot of lightning, a lot of wind, but they all got through it. And once they got out on the back side of it, they called up to me and Mike because they knew we were up there by ourselves. They're like, it was tight, but we're okay. We're all on the backside, and it's decent, So Mike and I kept watching, and as it was coming to us, it was spending more time over the open water. In other words, when it came off of Hatteras, it had been over land.
Yep.
When it got to the Gulf Stream and that hot water was feeding it, I looked down there and I could see about 4 water spouts.
Oh my gosh.
Racing along, coming right towards us. So I told Mike, I said, Mike, I said, I'm going to turn my radio off because I was watching the lightning pop in the water. I said, I'm going to turn my radio off and disconnect all my electronics. I'll be right here after it's over with. And he was about 2 miles. We put a little distance between us. And then I had a charter that day of 5 charter boat captains from New Jersey. They come down and booked me, nice guys, but they were not novices. And I told them, I said, look, now this is not looking too good. And it was racing towards us. I told my mate, Mike Poulin, I said, Mike, the course for home is 270 degrees, 35 miles. Something happens to me, that's how you get this boat home. Because I did not I saw water spouts and lightning pop in the water. So sure enough, I turned into the wind. Mike was just a couple miles outside of me. He turned into the wind, and we got ready. We got the cabin, the people in the cabin, all the charter got them all, and we didn't put out. Mike had hooked 2 tunas already.
Oh, gosh.
So he had 2 fish on the line. I said, don't put any baits out till this thing goes by. And so we got the charter in the cabin. And anyway, I was up there on the flying bridge, which is the raised portion of the boat behind what we call the curtains, which are the visqueen protection up on the flying bridge. And the wind started to pick up. Well, the rain started coming down. First, it was coming straight down hard. And then and I kept the boat idling just into the wind. And pretty soon visibility went to nothing. And the wind started picking up to where the rain started coming horizontal to the water.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and I couldn't see anything, but I still kept the boat just 1,000 RPMs, and kept it right into the wind. All I wanted to do was punch out. Lightning was hitting the water, making clouds of steam. Now, how it didn't hit the boat, I don't know.
Wow.
I couldn't see my Clarkin. We'd already disconnected the radios, and the wind picked up to 50. Then it picked up to 60. Then it picked up to 70 miles an hour or more. And then the next thing that happened, in the middle of all that, I started praying, Justin. You know me, I'm a prayer.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The boat started shaking, and I'm up on top of this boat by myself.
And how did the captain manage to get out of this one? We'll find out in just a bit. Looking for adventure? Head to Pirates Cove Marina in Manteo, where exciting charter fishing meets waterfront vibes. Whether you're a seasoned angler or a first-timer, enjoy offshore, nearshore, and inlet trips with expert crews and quality boats. Need fuel? Pirates Cove offers diesel and non-ethanol gas. Need rods, reels, bait, tackle, and marine supplies? Pirates Cove has that too. Visit their ship store for premium sunglasses, exclusive Pirates Cove gear, and unique gifts. After your trip, relax with snacks, cold drinks, and stunning marina views. Book your charter today at fishpiratescove.com or stop by for a day of adventure, shopping, and relaxation. Catch the big one and make unforgettable memories at Pirates Cove Marina in Manteo.
Then the hail started. When that hail came, it was horizontal to the water, and it was the size of golf balls.
Horizontal hail.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, hail!"
Oh, hail!
Anyway, it started coming through the curtains. It was cutting like golf ball size holes through the curtain and going by my head. I said, cows get killed in hailstorms all the time, and I'd never seen anything like it. It was making such a deafening roar on the front of the luckily I didn't have a glass windshield on the front of the boat. I let the boat in gear. I dropped down on my knees and crawled up inside the electronics cabinet. I said, this boat's going to steer itself because I'm afraid this hail or something's going to take me off the top of the bridge of the boat. And this deafening roar happened, and that hail, while I'm up inside the console, that hail hitting that fiberglass, it was just deafening. This went on for a few moments, but then I peeked out the door, and the boat had turned around and was now going with the storm.
Oh, Lord.
So that meant I was in it longer. Well, what that did was brought the hail from where it was coming off the bow. Now it's coming in the stern.
Oh my gosh.
And it was filling the cockpit. We had 12 inches of hail in the cockpit of the boat. But not only that, this guy, my mate, and the people in the charter, they tried to shut the cabin doors on the boat, and the wind was so strong they couldn't get them all the way shut. And we had hail that went through the cabin door and all the way to the V-berth on that boat.
Oh my Lord.
We had 100 pieces of golf ball size hail in the V-berth that had traveled the length of that boat. It was really a dangerous thing. Well, anyway, the guys down below, they thought I got blown off the top of the boat. They saw the curtains. The curtains were destroyed, and the antenna was broken in half. Anyway, finally, when the thing went on by, I reached up out of that cabinet and pulled the throttle back. And they said when they heard that, they knew at least I was still up there.
Right.
And I stopped, and it was over. But when I got out of that cabinet and looked around at my boat, the curtains were completely gone. All the paint was gone off the bow deck and the front of the cabin. No more paint on that boat. The tow rail looked like you took a ball peen hammer and just went around and hit it from all the hail dinging the tow rail. And we had a lot of damage. The curtains, it was a brand new boat. The curtains were just flapping in the wind. So when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh. I stopped the boat. Everything calmed down. I said, everybody okay down there? They were all laying on the floor to get away from the hail. And they were fine. But I hooked my radio back up, and I was able to get Mike Clarkin. Mike's boat, it rolled it so far on his side. And now my boat did not roll like that. Mike's boat rolled so far on his side that the water tore off one of his outriggers. The water did, and the wind tore off the one on the side that was staying up. It ripped off both of his outriggers. He also had his curtains shredded, and he still had 2 fish on the line. He put them in the rod holder.
Oh, Lord.
When all that went on, but we regrouped, and the thing about that was I said to those guys, they said, what do you want to do? And my boat was a wet boat on a good day. And I said, fellas, I got a lot of damage. Does it matter to y'all if we just go back and I'm going to be broke down? And we did. They were like, yeah, and I didn't charge them a dime. And we went back. They were great about it. But both Mike Clarkin and I had to go and do major repairs. And one thing I always remember about that, there was a guy that used to build those curtains up in Currituck named Dagwood. And Dagwood had heard what happened and met us at the dock when we got to the dock about 11 o'clock that morning, made patterns for those curtains. I went back up to his shop and worked all night long and was there the next morning with a full set of curtains. So it was a really, really bad storm. Probably one of the worst storm experiences I've ever known a charter boat to go through, and not something I'd care to do again. Now, the lesson to be learned is when those squalls are coming like that, disconnect your electronics. I think that kept us from getting hit by lightning. Second thing is, you don't fish. Don't have graphite rods out in the rod holders.
No.
Let that stuff go. And then punch through the squall. Because if you have a radar, you might could go a little to the left or a little to the right and go around what you see is the worst part of the squall. But the quicker you can get through it, the quicker you'll come out on the backside of it. So you can't go through there running at cruising speed blind, but you can be focused and do what speed you can to come out the backside of the squall. And we get a lot of that in the summertime around here, but it's a memory I'll never forget.